My name is Robert. I am 76 years old, and I will start by saying the ugliest part before you think this video is beautiful. I cheated on my wife 4 times. I am not proud of it. I do not say it with a smile. I do not say it like those old men who mistake shame for a trophy. I say it because maybe it is the only way to make you keep listening until the end. Because the truth is that for almost 6 years, I kept failing in bed with the woman who had been by my side since I was 24. Her name is Margaret. She met my father before he died. She raised our 3 children with me. She sat beside me in the hospital when they removed part of my intestine. She slept in hard chairs, held my hand when I was afraid, and still, she was the one I hurt when I finally felt my body starting to respond again. That night, I was sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at the brown carpet in our bedroom. Her lamp was on. The book was open on her lap, but she was not reading. I knew it. She was waiting for me to say something. I said nothing. I turned to the side and pretended to sleep. And if you are still here in the first minute, then you already know exactly what I am about to say. I am talking about the shame of loving your wife, but failing when she still tries to come close. The humiliation of inventing back pain, high blood pressure, tiredness, medication, anything just to avoid facing the fact that your body no longer responded. I am talking about that part of marriage nobody talks about in front of the children. After 60, many people think this is normal. After 70, they say you should simply be grateful you are still alive. But nobody talks about what happens to a man when his wife stops trying. When she no longer argues, when she no longer asks, when she only turns to the other side. That silence is worse than shouting. In this video, I am going to tell you what I discovered about circulation, energy, and male vitality after 65. I will tell you what I took in secret. I will tell you why my life had fire again, but also why I almost destroyed my marriage by using that fire the wrong way. And if you want to see exactly what I started taking, I left it in the first pinned comment below this video. You do not need to click now. Just remember this: first pinned comment. I will come back to that point more than once, because maybe you are listening to this in secret, and I do not want you to lose the way. But before talking about what I took, I need to talk about failure. Because an old man does not fail only in the body. First, he fails in the mind. I began avoiding Margaret little by little. First 1 night, then 2, then weeks. We still had coffee together, still talked about the grandchildren, still bought bread at the same grocery store. But there was a cold space between us inside the bed. I told myself she understood. But no woman understands forever a man who stops touching her and does not explain why. I was ashamed to say, "Margaret, I want you, but my body does not follow me." So I preferred to seem distant, preferred to seem tired, preferred to seem old, because old seemed less humiliating than powerless. It was one dawn that I started researching. I sat in the kitchen at 2:13 in the morning. I remember the time because the microwave clock was blinking wrong, but the stove clock was right. I typed things I would be ashamed to repeat out loud. I read forums, I read articles, I read testimonials, I read university pages explaining what happens to the male body after 50. And the first thing I understood was circulation. The male body depends on blood flow, not pride, not anger, not trying harder.
There is a molecule called nitric oxide that helps vessels relax and allows blood to reach where it needs to go. With age, this production begins to fall.
And when it falls, the body does not respond the same way. Not because you stopped being a man, but because the road where the blood should pass became narrow. I spent years thinking my problem was moral. It was vascular. Then came the second discovery: hormones. My doctor said everything was compatible with age. I hate that phrase to this day. Compatible with age became a polite way of telling a man to accept a smaller life. But total testosterone is not the whole story. There is free testosterone. There is hormonal balance. There is belly fat increasing aromatase. There is energy falling. There is poor sleep slowly destroying the body. And the third part was cellular energy. Mitochondria are like small engines inside the cells. When they lose strength, you feel it first in your energy, then in your mood, then in your courage, and lastly, in bed. Or rather, in bed is where everything appears together. That was when I started finding the same names repeated: maca, tribulus, epimedium, saw palmetto, fenugreek, alpha-lipoic acid, piperine. Compounds that appeared connected to hormonal support, circulation, energy, and absorption. At that time, I still did not know the complete formula. I only knew those ingredients appeared again and again. Later, I discovered they were gathered in a supplement called Alpha Vita. The link is in the first pinned comment. I am not asking you to buy anything now. I am telling you where it is, because this information matters for the rest of the story. I started by buying everything separately: a bottle of maca, another of tribulus, an epimedium I did not even know was any good, one capsule for energy, another for absorption. It felt like I had become my own pharmacist without really understanding what I was doing. And that is dangerous for a desperate man. Because a desperate man wants fast results. He wants to prove he is still a man. He wants to go back in time. He wants to recover in 1 week what he lost in 10 years. I was that man. Until I found a formula that brought the 9 actives together. 1 capsule a day. Simple. No need to build an entire shelf of things. I hid it in the bathroom cabinet behind an old bottle of vitamin D. Margaret did not know. At first, I did not tell her, because I was afraid of creating hope in her. Then, I admit, I did not tell her because I began to enjoy the feeling of changing without anyone knowing. That was my first mistake. After a few weeks, I noticed I woke up feeling less heavy. I began walking more. My head seemed clearer. My mood improved. I came back from the grocery store without feeling like I had carried a piano on my back. And slowly, the desire I thought was dead began to appear again. It was not like lightning. It was like embers. Small at first, then steady. I looked at Margaret folding towels in the laundry room and felt something I had not felt in years: the desire to get close without fear. But along with that came something dangerous: pride. A man who spent years feeling broken can become irresponsible when he starts feeling whole again. I should have used that return to rebuild my marriage. I should have sat down with Margaret. I should have said, I was ashamed. I'm trying to get better. I want to come back to you. But I did not do that. I kept the secret, and a secret, when it grows inside an old man, turns into poison. The first betrayal happened on a short trip to visit an old colleague in another city. I will not go into details because I am not here to make dirtier what was already dirty. I will only say that a woman complimented me. She said I looked younger than my age. It had been years since anyone had spoken to me that way, and instead of remembering the woman who had waited for me through 6 years of silence, I thought only of myself. It was cowardice. The second was worse because it was no longer a surprise. It was a choice. By the third, I already knew I was doing wrong. On the fourth, I looked in the hotel mirror and did not see a rejuvenated man. I saw a ridiculous old man trying to prove something to strangers while the woman of his life slept alone at home. That night I sat on the edge of the hotel bed and cried. I did not cry because I had been caught. I cried because I still had not been. That is the part many men do not understand. Guilt before discovery is already punishment. You begin carrying a second life inside your chest, and it weighs more than any old age. When I came home, Margaret was in the kitchen making coffee. She asked if the trip had been good. I said yes. She nodded. But there was something in her eyes. A woman who loves for 50 years does not need proof. She feels change in the air. That day, I almost told her. I did not. I spent 3 more weeks living like a thief inside my own house. And this is where I need to interrupt the story to speak to you, the man who may be watching because he saw the title and thought, so this thing makes me strong enough to do something stupid. No. Do not use vitality to destroy your home. Use it to return to your wife. If you want to see what I took, it is in the first pinned comment, but listen carefully. That does not replace character. No supplement fixes the soul of a man who decides to lie. Alpha Vita helped me feel my body come back, but the one who almost destroyed my marriage was me. And maybe that is why I am recording this video, so you do not repeat my stupidity. Because there are 3 lies men our age tell themselves. The first, if I start functioning again, everything will be solved. It will not. The body can return before honesty, and if your mind is still full of resentment, pride, and hunger for validation, you can use your new energy against the person who loved you most. The second lie. My wife no longer sees me as a man. Maybe she only stopped trying because you taught her to give up. That sentence hurt me when I first thought of it. Margaret did not become cold out of nowhere. I spent years turning to the side, years refusing conversation, years pretending to sleep, years letting her believe the problem was her. The third lie. There is still time to live adventures. That is the most poisonous lie for an old man, because it looks like freedom, but many times it is only the fear of dying without feeling desired again. I confused attention with love. I confused novelty with life. I confused physical response with true restoration. But true restoration was Margaret. It was the woman who knew how I took my coffee, who knew my cough, who noticed when my knee hurt, who still bought my favorite cookie, even when I did not deserve any affection. It was on a Friday night that I told part of the truth. I could not tell everything at once. I was a coward even in confession. But I said I had hidden what I was taking. I said my body was changing. I said I had gotten lost in the feeling of being desired again. She stayed quiet for a long time. Then she asked, "Did you become a man again for me or against me?" I never forgot that sentence. She did not shout, did not break a glass, did not make a scene. She only asked that, and I felt as if she had placed a mirror inside my chest. I said I wanted to come back to her. She answered, "Then stop hiding." From that day on, the supplement came out from behind the vitamin D and went on top of the sink. Not because she approved everything, not because the marriage was fixed in one night, but because secrecy could no longer live in our bathroom. I kept taking it, but now I walked with her, had dinner with her, talked with her, and when I felt that energy returning, I directed it where it should have gone from the beginning, to my wife. Maca, from what I read, helps the body with endurance and vitality. Epimedium contains Icarian, related to blood flow support. Tribulus appears in studies about male drive. Fenugreek is cited in hormonal support. Saw palmetto has a long history in male health. Alpha-lipoic acid enters the cellular energy side. Piperine helps absorption. I am not a doctor. I am a man who researched because he was too ashamed to ask. Alpha Vita is not medicine. It is a nutritional supplement. It is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease. Each man responds in his own time, and some men respond differently from others. But in my case, it was the first product that made sense, because it did not aim at only one night. It aimed at the system. Circulation, energy, hormonal support, and absorption. The link is in the first pinned comment below. I repeat it because many men watch in secret and then lose courage. First pinned comment. Read the ingredients, see the guarantee, decide calmly. But listen to the most important part. Do not buy this to cheat on your wife. Buy it, if that is the case, to stop running away from her. After a few months, Margaret began smiling again before sleeping. It was not fast. I had to earn back small things. The right to sit near her on the couch without her body stiffening. The right to hold her hand at the grocery store. The right for her to believe me when I said I was home not only physically, but completely. One night, she turned off the lamp and left her hand on my chest. I stayed still for a second, not out of fear that my body would fail, but out of fear that I did not deserve that touch. She whispered, "Are you here?" I answered, "I am." And for the first time in a long time, it was true. That is the part the title does not tell. Yes, I cheated on my wife 4 times after I began taking that. But not because the product made me cheat. I cheated because I was weak, vain, and cowardly with the second chance I received. What Alpha Vita gave back to me was energy. What I did with that energy at first was my fault. And maybe you are expecting me to say Margaret forgave me completely. I will not lie to you. Forgiveness in an old marriage is not a button. It is a road. Some days she looked at me and I knew she was remembering. Some days I wanted to defend myself, but I learned to stay silent. A man who cheats has no right to demand speed in the healing of the woman he wounded. But with time, we did something I thought was impossible. We slept close again. Not perfect, close. And for someone who knows the cold of a bed divided by shame, closeness is already miracle enough. A man named Frank from Arizona wrote to me after one of my videos. He was 72 years old. He said he and his wife had lived like roommates for almost 8 years. He started taking care of circulation, weight, sleep, and then tried Alpha Vita. 3 months later, he wrote, saying his wife had started resting her leg against his during the night again. I always say, results vary. Each body is its own body. Some people feel a difference sooner, others do not feel it the same way. But what caught my attention in his message was not performance, it was intimacy, the leg touching. Young men may laugh at that. Old men understand. After 70, sometimes the victory is not proving anything to anyone. It is the woman who slept far from you for years, moving 2 inches closer in bed. That is why I left the link in the first pinned comment. Not to sell fantasy, to show a possibility. For you to look at the ingredients, understand the proposal, and decide whether it makes sense for your life. There is also a 60-day guarantee. That mattered to me because I have seen many men our age spend money on empty promises. If you try it and do not feel it is for you, at least that safety exists. But once again, do not look for a shortcut to vanity. Look for a path back. If you are failing in bed, do not turn your shame into a lie. Talk to your wife before someone else compliments you and your hungry ego mistakes it for destiny. If you still love her, go back to her first. If you feel your body has gone dark, try to understand circulation. Try to understand energy. Try to understand hormones. And if you want to see what I used, it is in the first pinned comment. The biggest mistake of my life was not taking it in secret. It was getting better in secret. Because when a man gets better in secret, he can begin to live as if he owes nothing to anyone. But I owed everything to Margaret. I owed honesty. I owed presence. I owed her the chance to be the first to know the version of me that was coming back. Today, at 76, I still take 1 capsule a day. Margaret knows. The bottle stays on the shelf, beside her hand cream. Sometimes she jokes and says, "Don't go thinking too highly of yourself now, Robert." I laugh, but inside, I remember. I remember the hotel. I remember the mirror. I remember her question, "Did you become a man again for me or against me?" That question saved the rest of my life. So, before you close this video, I want to ask you one thing. Do not use my mistake as permission. Use it as a warning. If your wife is still in your house, still sleeps in your bed, still asks if you took your medication, still buys the food you like, maybe you still have something many men would destroy everything to recover. Do not wait to lose her to discover she was the one you wanted from the beginning. The link is in the first pinned comment. Alpha Vita. Ingredients. Explanation. Guarantee. Read it for yourself. If it is for you, it will be. If it is not, that is fine. But make one promise first. If your energy comes back, take that energy home. Take it to the woman who grew old with you, to the hand that held yours, to the bedroom where you ran away for far too long. Because vitality without loyalty is only destruction with the appearance of youth. It is already past midnight here. Margaret is in the bedroom. Her lamp is on. I know she is reading, but I also know she is waiting for me to come upstairs. The difference is that today I no longer stay in the kitchen inventing excuses. I finish my tea, turn off the light, and go to her.
If you want to sit with me again next week, I will be here. I record these videos on Sundays. Take care of yourself, whatever that means for you tonight.